Over the last 90 years or so, the structure of the organization organically grew to be what it was when I took over. So I knew that we needed to make significant changes. So we started the organization design restructuring of the entire organization. And it wasn't easy. It took us about a year or so to reorganize. And I knew that this was going to be a little bit of an experiment because you don't always get the exact structure that you imagine. And I know we've made some mistakes, but we've learned from those mistakes. But one of the things that I said from the beginning is that the culture will have to be customer-centric, collaborative, accountable, and we have to have the right diversity, inclusion, belonging, and equity. And that was the foundation for the change. And with the last 7 years, we've come a long way. And that reorganization has been reorganized again because we had to tweak a lot of the things that we've done. And you should always know that you don't always get it right. It's just like an experiment. You said you went into organic chemistry. How many times did your experiments fail, right? I come from that world as well, and I can tell you, I knew, but as long as it's not a fatal error, and as long as you don't continuously make the same error, it's okay, because we've learned a lot from that. And today, I think we have a great structure here. It allowed us to bring in wholesale. It allowed us to do a lot of things that we were not able to do in the past. And we now have not only retail customers, but also wholesale customers. And quite often my people here tell me, well, what are we? A wholesaler or a retailer? We're an ambidextrous organization. We're both. There are many organizations in the world that are actually both a wholesaler and a retailer. Yeah, I approach problems the same way, to be honest with you. I'm a scientist by trade, my background, so I'm very analytical. So I always like to understand the problem. Why is it? Because a lot of times people think it's a problem, but it isn't. But I also created a core team. We used to have this executive team of 25 people that would come into a room every Monday, and we would look in the rearview mirror, and that was the executive team. That's not an executive team. What I've done is I created a team of 8 people. They are the senior people of the organization. And what I said to them is, look, we're gonna meet once a week, or maybe more if we have to. And what I want is to debate, to challenge, to argue, and to come to an agreement. But in order to be able for you to do that, there has to be trust and respect and professionalism. Because if you want to be able to get in a room and argue your point, you want to make sure that the other people understand, and they're not going to go out there and say, George said, right? You want to have trust, and you can open up. And that's how I deal with problems. I bring them to the table for my core team. And the other thing that I've done is I selected people who supplement what I don't know, because there are a lot of things I don't know, and there are a lot of smarter people than me that sit in that room. They have expertise in HR, in finance, in supply chain, in marketing, in IT, and they're really, really good at what they do. So I always put the issue on the table. And the other thing that I tell my executives is, it doesn't matter whether you're HR or a lawyer or a marketer, you know something about everything. Just discuss it, because quite often the best ideas come from people who have no expertise in that. And that's how we resolve issues. I have learned that quite a few years ago, that passion is a double-edged sword, and you have to be careful with it. It could be great if you use it the right way, but it could actually work against you if you're not careful, because people will think that you know everything. You're intimidating. They're not going to really tell you what they want to tell you because they're afraid of you. So passion is great, but you have to be careful how you use it. What I would say, if you want to be an ally, don't just provide lip service. Open the door, and don't just open the door, pave the way. What do I mean by paving the way? Is make sure that you provide the right coaching, the right mentoring, the right development, so that person has the opportunity to be the successful candidate. So we have a succession plan strategy that we review twice a year. And my core team sits around the table and we look at everybody and we ask ourselves, that person has the capacity, what do we need to do for that person to get to where we want them to get? It is incredibly important that you don't just open the door, is you pave the way with action. That's allyship in my opinion. There are certain people that can be leaders. It's probably in our DNA. And there are others that have it in their DNA and they develop it, right? So I've always loved to lead. I've always loved to work with people to get things done. That's who I am. But I always felt that I win if I work with a team. And there's one thing that I've always, and I say this to my team, is don't worry about who gets the credit, worry about the team winning. And that's how I led in my life.